They're already downstairs.
We have an invocation by Pastor Chamberlain.
Let's all pray. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for a city council that recognizes its need of your help and guidance. We ask for it now in this meeting this night. Father, we live in a broken, fallen world. We're reminded of this continually as we look around and as we look within. We humbly call upon you for your grace according to our many needs in every dimension of life, public and private. Without you, we will destroy ourselves. So we ask for a heart submissive to your law, that we might do your will on earth, even as it is done in heaven by the angels. And as we look forward to Mother's Day, we pray for the institution of the family here in our community, as well as for the institution of civil government. Now we ask for your blessing on these counselors and on the city of Broken Arrow that they represent. Give wisdom and discretion to all who bring a matter here this evening, and help us all to love our neighbor as ourself and to love you supremely. We ask these things in the name of our Redeemer, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Roll call.
Ford.
Here.
Moody.
Here.
Parks.
Here.
Gillespie.
Here.
Wimpy.
Here. Please stand and join Councilor Parks in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Salute. Pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to pull items K, L, M, and R from the consent agenda for discussion. Are there any other items to be pulled?
Move to approve the consent agenda absent items K, L, M, and R.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
There you go.
Okay. All right, item K, approval of an authorization to purchase 5 Snow Dog snowplow assembly with the installation from Grand Truck Equipment pursuant to the Oklahoma statewide contract for streets and water, stormwater. Rocky Hinkle.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of council. Rocky Hinkle, Director of Streets and Stormwater. I'm actually going to touch on K, L, and M here. They're all kind of related to each other. If you recall, or if you're like me and you try not to recall, back in December of
Snowmageddon.
2020
Yes.
to February 2021, we experienced a very significant winter. We had over 18 days of below freezing temperatures. We had over 25 inches of accumulated snow. After that winter, Mr. Spurgeon, Mr. Schwab, and myself sat down and debriefed and determined a way that we could expand our level of service and make the operation more efficient. So right now, our level of service is we treat and we plow every collector and arterial roadway, and we make sure that our level of service that every road is cleared from curb to curb within 24 hours. So after that discussion, we decided that we wanted to venture out into the residential neighborhoods. So on April 5th, council awarded the purchase of 5 pickup trucks. Those pickup trucks will be used to plow every entry of every neighborhood off the arterial streets. Before you tonight is the plows that go in the front of them, and also the brine machine that goes in the back. The brine will help us. It's the saltwater solution that helps us prevent the ice from bonding to the street, and will spray every residential street if the conditions warrant. So respectively, we ask that you approve items K for the plows on the front of the trucks, M is the brine sprayers, and then N are wing plows. So these plows will go on the side of the dump truck. So essentially, we're gaining a half a truck which will expedite our process of clearing snow from arterial and collector roadways. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Is there any discussion?
I learned a lot about Brian when I did my onboarding with Rocky, and it's a good thing. It's good that we have Brian.
It's a very good thing.
I make a motion to approve K, L, and M.
We were doing
Ford.
this all.
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Parks,
Yes.
Gillespie,
Yes.
Wimpy.
Yes. Item R, approval of SP 309, specific use permit for Aqua Parks inflatables. Larry Curtis.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Larry Curtis, Community Development Director. SP 309 is a request for a specific use permit to allow for a water park recreation as a general outdoor recreation use on a pond within the Jack Graves Outdoor Education Center. Broken Arrow zoning ordinance permits general outdoor recreation in A1 district, which includes water parks and slides as defined by the zoning ordinance with a permit. Splash area park or splash aquatic park is inflatable water park on the pond near the entrance of the Scout Reservation. The park would be open to the public May through September. The applicant has indicated that the nearby Northeastern State University is supportive of the proposal, and they are in agreement between them to allow for the Splash Aqua Park to use NSU's parking lot as access and providing as the large amount of parking as well as 2 entrances and exits to the facility. Staff recommended approval of this item as presented in their meeting of April 28, 2022. Planning Commission recommended approval by a vote of 4-0 of SP 309 per staff recommendation. No one signed up to speak in favor or in opposition to this item. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have along with the applicant. I believe a member of the Boy Scouts is also here this evening.
The only question I would have would be and I hadn't heard from anyone, but would be the quality of the water
Mhm.
as far as what kind of health department needs will it be met, and is there anything that they have to do to make that water where it's
Councilor Parks, as you indicated, this would be through the health department, and so they would have to meet those standards. I will let the applicant speak more towards that than from our standpoint.
I requested this to be pulled just because it's been a big topic on social media. So it's always good for the
Mhm.
people to hear exactly what's going on. And I mean, I think it's a fun idea. And I know my 2-year-old grandson will have lots of fun there. So, but I agree with what your question is.
Would you like the applicant to come down?
Sure, be great.
Okay.
Can a 2-year-old play?
Yeah, is that too? Maybe. We'll find out.
And I am curious exactly where in that area it would go.
The pond.
Is it around
It's
the
the pond
pond?
up in the
Okay.
corner.
pond.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm Stephen Hager. So it'll be the way that the pond was dug to the left. That's going to be the shallow end, and it's kind of dug like a big pool. So as you go further to the right, you can kind of see the darker circle within the pond. That's the deep area of the pond, which ranges from 12.5 to 13.5 feet in depth.
And about the condition of the water, that council.
Condition of the water. So the Boy Scouts use that. They kayak, they paddleboard, they fish, occasionally swim in the condition that it is now. With the Boy Scouts, we're actually going further in depth. We are installing a state-of-the-art aerator that's going to go at the base of the pond so that we can aerate with the aqua park, because we need to keep the inflatables wet. We actually have what's called a monsoon system. So there'll be 4 monsoons that are spraying the water park, circulating the water. We have a company that is coming out and using EPA treatment for the water. By the time that everything is said and done, and I would venture to say it's going to be one of the cleanest pieces of water in the state.
So will it fall underneath the health department as far as on the water? And I asked that because I grew up fishing in all the coal pits,
Mhm.
around in the area. And I know they can get a little bit, that bring up a lot of chemicals because a lot of them are really deep. I didn't know if this was an old coal pit. I just wanted to make sure there's going to be some regulation.
So we have private companies The coal pits that you speak of are actually property. This was actually dug, and it's a bedrock bottom. So the 13.5 foot depth is as deep as it's ever going to get.
So you will have somebody inspect it once
Yes,
a
sir.
month then?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, with all the safety protocol that comes out, has to wear a life jacket. Everybody has to go through a short safety speech. We have lifeguards on duty, 1 per 25 people in the park. It's all about the experience, not only for the participants, but for the parents and grandparents that are on the beach area. It's the safety is the main thing for us.
And so the parking, people will be able to park just right there next to NSU. Will they walk like down 101st?
No,
to-
ma'am. So there's actually an entrance into Jack Graves
Okay.
that if once you're on property, there's 88 parking stalls there.
Okay,
Um,
right.
with us only allowing a max of 200 people per hour, good rule of thumb is about 3 people per vehicle. So we're looking at, we have ample parking there, but as I was looking at was if we were to have a bottleneck that was going to happen coming off the property. So doing a little bit of research with the city of Broken Arrow, we're Vince Park. That's what put us in contact with Dr. Woods. We have a gate between the Boy Scouts and NSU. So as people come and go, it allows them to use the traffic light that is at NSU. Trying to minimize the footprint as much.
They pay for like all day long if they want to stay all day long, because they, or someone talked about something about when they switch out or something that
Yeah.
may be when you have to use the overflow, and I didn't quite understand that.
So the way that we do it, because they're inflatable, I have a max capacity that we can have out there. The park that we're installing has the capacity of 300 people, but I always try to stay 70-75% of max capacity. The way that it works, the park that we have up in Wichita, we're going on our 4th year. You can buy by sessions. So we do a 1 hour, a 2 hour. The best bang for the buck is if a person were to buy a 5-hour pass. That's the closest that I can come to like a season pass. And so depending on how long a person wants to be there, then we have that change between sessions to where if you have 60 vehicles that come in on a Saturday for a 1 o'clock session, at 2 o'clock, if another 60 vehicles were coming in while they're leaving, we're going to have 120 to 130 vehicles at that time.
Okay.
So just trying not to have it bottlenecked. They're coming off the Boy Scouts. We'd end up having 2 entrances and 2 exits on the weekends.
It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I know a lot of people are excited about it, and people that support the Boy Scouts have reached out to me and said, please pass this because
Yeah.
we support the Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
What about any kind of like food trucks or concessions? Will you guys?
So we'll
Out
have
there.
Kona Ice out there every day, and then we're going to have a rotation of food trucks that the customers don't have to worry about porta potties because the
That
Boy
was my next
Scouts
question,
have I don't know if you can zoom in, but back behind the Jack Graves area, there's a big gazebo or pavilion. So we actually have restrooms.
Nice. And how long have you had this company that you've done?
We're going on the 4th year.
Okay.
When we first had it, the first year in Wichita, just kind of feeling our way through it. After the 2nd year, because we had such a demand for it, we increased the size. And now the location in Wichita is the largest in the country. This body of water does not allow me to put the same size park as what we have in Wichita, but it'd still be the largest one in Oklahoma. There are other parks like this across the state. The Jellystone place on Keystone, they use a competitor of the aqua park. Theirs is a lot more low profile. Ours are going to be taller, big swings, big slides.
Ours will be better.
Oklahoma City has one at the cable park. This is really big in Europe and Australia. It's just over the last 5 years kind of made its way over to America. So you'll start seeing these things pop up all over the place.
Why don't we have someone local?
I am local. So I was born and raised in Claremore. My daughter actually graduated from Broken Arrow. I've just been out of the state for the last 5 years with trying to figure out this water park thing in Wichita.
So one of the issues that was raised to me was traffic, and it sounds like with having access to the NSU parking lot and the light so that people can make a protected left turn or cross over to
Yes, sir.
and have that option. And I assume you'll be able to manage ingress and egress on each end of the park,
Yes, sir.
thereby addressing the traffic concerns.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, that was the main thing I was hearing from people is,
Yeah.
besides the water issue, was traffic. And it sounds like there's a plan for that.
Yes, sir.
So any further questions or discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve item R.
We have a motion. Do you have a second?
Second.
Wimpy.
Yes. This is exciting. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, item 7, public hearings, appeals, presentation, recognitions, and awards. Item 7A, presentation by the seniors and recognition and presentation of certificates to youth city council seniors.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Michaela Barton, Community Relations Liaison. Tonight, we'll start off with a short presentation from the senior class that recently visited Washington, D.C. for the NLC conference. Afterward, we will recognize the 7 seniors that have successfully completed the requirements of the Broken Arrow Youth City Council program. So at this time, I will turn it over to them, and then we'll be back to present the certificates.
Hello, thank you. Next slide, please. Sorry. So, sorry. So we went to lots of different places. We got to visit the Capitol, which was a very amazing experience. We got to tour through there, through the offices of what was the name? Sorry. Through one of the senators.
Senator Inhofe.
Inhofe, sorry, that is my bad. We got to walk around DC and see national monuments and got to tour Smithsonian's, such as the Air and Space and lots of other places. An experience and got to see very many beautiful places all over. Oh, there's some more pictures. We went to the White House. It was under construction, so you couldn't see all of it. We also went to Arlington Cemetery and then, yeah.
One thing that we did on our DC trip was we got to understand the importance of local government, but also federal government. We got to listen to many different senators, representatives from the president speak, also at the event while we were there. But then one of the most fun experiences I had personally was while we were at the National League of Cities conference, sorts of different places in government, such as mayors. I got to sit next to with Mr. Udi. Got to sit next to a mayor and just talk and listen and learn from other people. And it was just a super cool experience.
We went to lots of different food places, like Union Station, which had like tons of different places you could choose from and lots of stores you could go into as well. And we went to this Italian restaurant called Buca di Beppo, and it was so good. And that's where the giant ice cream thing was from. And a local German place called Old Europe. And it was all just really fun, and the experiences were great, and so was the food.
So throughout all of this, we got to experience many different things. Like here, we don't have the metro system, so we got to experience that. Some of us for the first time, others one of the few times we've gotten to experience it. We've also gotten to experience pretty much what life is like in our capital. See how life varied. We got to pass some homeless shelters that we don't obviously see here very often. So we got to see some of the lows that we have in the U.S. that we don't experience. But on the by going to see all these monuments that we don't have, the pleasure really of getting the newer states of the 50. All in all, though, it was a great experience, and I believe if you asked any of us, we'd love to do all of
So to admit, before the familiar with any of my fellow members of the UC Council, specifically with my senior members. And after this trip, I will say I developed a good emotional bond with this group and everything. From the early 7 a.m. wake up calls to Starbucks, it was the late night talks we had playing a game of 5 things that and I will say I am honored to call this group my friends.
And finally, we just wanted to thank you guys counselors for supporting us and giving us this opportunity to travel to Washington, D.C. and learn more about what the government and the world has. Next slide. No words can express how grateful or beautiful this experience was. Thank you. Oh, yeah.
This is a video I got. Okay, test number 3. Got it. It's not totally
This was it. We'll get that
Jazz hands.
Next.
Thank you.
So as you can see, sorry, it's a really special group, and hold on. Ooh. I'm very thankful for this opportunity, but they're all very special, and so I'm really proud of you all, and you may go.
Please go.
Thanks a lot. We need a certificate for you, actually, because you were amazing. And I can't imagine how much better the trip would have been. Not that Aaron and, Brent didn't do an amazing job as, what was it, mom and dad, or yes. So I would agree, like on the trip, I think we discussed this with you guys, how special it was that you were able to go to Arlington Cemetery with Counselor Parks. The history that he has from there, working there as an old guard, is invaluable. And so what an honor you guys got to be a part of that. And going to the Capitol and seeing these things, you realize that not many kids get to go to DC and experience something like that. But Michaela's been a rock star through the whole thing, so thank you. And then, of course, Counselor Parks and Counselor Udi have been doing this with our youth city council for years. So on behalf of the city council, this is not in order, Ahmad Siad, Saeed, sorry for you, Jacob Schotten, Ben Cloud, you're connected, Corbett Campbell, Andrew Brown, Audrey and Finley Murphy. And then if you ever say Representative Ross Ford also has a certificate for you, so he'll come up.
Do you guys want to try maybe?
Yeah. Where the parents might want to take their pictures.
Thank you, Mayor and the counselor. And I think this is such a great moment to be able to share it with you. And, I just want to say that on behalf of the state of Oklahoma, and how great Broken Arrow is about bringing the youth city council in, teaching them how city government works. And hopefully, you've learned a lot of respect for what the council, how they perform their jobs, and also a little bit about, it's the same thing at the basically the same thing that at the state government too. So hopefully, that you'll go on and learn more after, high school, either join a city council somewhere or, someday join the State House of Representatives. We always looking for new young blood that has ideas of how the state should run. So with that, I would like to, I have a citation for each one of you, and I'm going to read it to you. And I just picked out this citation's Finley Wimpy, Broken Arrow Youth City Council. Whereas Finley Wimpy worked hard and dedicated her time to complete the Youth City Council program. And whereas Finley Wimpy devoted the last 2 years working with the community leaders and her fellow students to gain an understanding of an issues and the process that goes into city government. And whereas Finley Wimpy and her fellow youth city councilors worked together to improve the city of Broken Arrow and have learned valuable lessons along the way that will carry with them throughout their future adventures and journeys. And whereas the Oklahoma House of Representatives does hereby commend Finley Wimpy for her outstanding accomplishments and her commitments to bettering herself and her community, and wish her and all of you good luck in all of your future endeavors. Now, therefore, pursuant to the motion of Representative Ross Ford, the Oklahoma House of Representatives extends to you sincere congratulations and directs this citation to be presented. So here's one for Finley. Ben Cloud. And I'm gonna mess this one up. Aman Said. Sorry about that. Jacob Schotten. And Corbett Campbell. Andrew Brown. And last but not least, Audrey Arendt.
I
Thank
know
you,
that
Mayor and Council.
I know that Counselor Park and Counselor Udi probably want to say something. I just was going to just reiterate what a great group of these kids are, young adults rather. It was a pleasure being on this trip with them and getting to know them a little bit better. I've watched Finley and Ben grow up their entire lives, basically. So it was really neat that they were able to go and enjoy this experience as well. So kudos, guys.
I would just say it was an exciting group, quiet group, very great about learning, very obedient as far as going through and learning the activities in Washington, D.C. And I can't think of one time where we were even nervous as we were moving through the areas. But it was a very mature group. And it's really nice to see these kids to mature from the 10th grade, 11th, and then be seniors. I enjoy seeing being involved with the activities. I enjoy going to the Capitol. I enjoy going to Arlington Cemetery. It's just I spend a lot of time, and I would live there if I could afford it. But this group was one of the best that we've ever had as far as being somebody that had to oversee them. We didn't have to do any of that. So I thank you for it. If you do need in your future, this certainly looks good on your resumes, and I'm sure that any of us here at City Council would be happy to write letters of reference for you if you need them as you go along. But wish you as much success as those that come before you have had. So thank you very much for your endeavors.
And I would add that Councilor Parks always speaks so well of this, but each year I say this, and each year I mean it, because it seems this is my 7th year to work with the U City Council and getting to see them sort of grow up from sophomores to seniors. And this group, I think, was our first group we had for all 3 years. And They come in nervous and trying to figure this all out and trying to figure out exactly what all this means. And then they listen attentively and learn to really enjoy themselves. And I saw this group at DC really open up with just being able to share some time with each one of them and realizing how much they learned over the last 3 years and how much it meant to them. And tonight was evidence of that. If you weren't here for the mock council meeting, you need to go watch it online, because each one of these young people did an amazing job. They were engaged. They presented their part well, but they also asked questions and legitimately engaged in the process of governing. And it was exciting to see and very gratifying to see these young people that in many ways, Johnny and I come to think of them as our own, because we spend so much time with them. And especially in DC, I say, you know, we're sort of, they're ours for the week, because we want to see them succeed, and to know that each one of them will go on to be amazing young people and have amazing careers and do amazing things. And any part that we played in that, I'm very proud of, and I'm very proud of all of you. So good luck. God bless you. And as Councilor Parks said, if you need anything, we're here to help.
You know, I might add one thing, and that is the leadership. Scott and I were there, but I'm telling you, the Michaela, she really hit a home run in this. She does an excellent job. She might be kind of emotional. She needs to work on that because they do come and go. And you remember each and every one of them, but it'll be easier next year, Michaela.
It's like foster
But
kids.
she does she's done a great job, and going through the pandemic, you know what I mean, to still keep everybody engaged. I was just fascinated by that, but thank you for your leadership, Michaela.
Thank you.
I'm slightly biased to the little redhead down there, so with the same last name. So
Well, it's hard for me. My son was 2 years ago, and it's hard for me to admit anything about you all being better, but don't tell him I said that.
he doesn't watch these meetings,
No.
right?
You know, I don't really know many of you that well, but I just want to say, I mean, and this is a sappy mom thing, but you know, you're really close to graduation, and just treasure these moments. And because, you know, we're still friends with people that we were friends with in high school, and you'll be really surprised at the people that you end up staying connected with over the years. And so just treasure these moments, and because, you know, whatever you're doing after this, it's these are great moments, and you have many to come. But you know, I didn't go to Washington D.C. my first time until 2019. I went as an advocate for education for Oklahoma State PTA. So that was my very first time to go to D.C. And you've gotten to go at such a young age, and I mean that's a pretty cool thing that not a lot of kids get to do, and young adults, and just enjoy that. And I bet you, now when you go back, you're going to get to enjoy even more things, because you kind of know the lay of the land.
I just want to say it was nice to get to know you all on the DC trip. We had a lot of fun, even though we even walked through a blizzard, but it was still fun, right? And I know you all will go far. I'm really impressed with this class for sure.
All right. Moving on to item 7B, approval of an authorization to execute a proclamation declaring the week of May 1st through 7th, 2022 as National Small Business Week. So,
Tell her bye.
Bye, honey.
Be home. Don't be late.
all right. We have a proclamation, and Mr. Oglesby, if you do want to come forward. So Adam was the recipient of the 2021 Small Business, is that correct?
2022.
Okay.
First time they'd awarded it in 3 years. So we kind of took a break, and
Yeah.
they said, all right, well, it's your turn, I guess.
Fantastic. Congratulations. On behalf of the City of Broken Arrow, I've had this proclamation. Whereas America's strongest economic growth in almost 40 years has been driven by the resilience of our small businesses who, despite a worldwide pandemic, continue to pioneer innovative solutions to our country's families and workers. And whereas from the storefront that anchor Main Street to the high-tech startups that keep America on the cutting edge to the small manufacturers driving our competitiveness on the global stage, small businesses are the backbone of our economy and the cornerstones of our nation's promise. And whereas when we support small business, jobs are created and local communities preserve their unique culture. And whereas because this country's 32.5 million small businesses create nearly 2 out of the 3 jobs in our economy, we cannot resolve ourselves to create jobs and spur economic growth in America without discussing ways to support our entrepreneurs. And whereas the President of the United States has proclaimed National Small Business Week every year since 1963 to highlight the programs and services available to entrepreneurs through the U.S. Small Business Administration and other government agencies. And whereas City of Broken Arrow supports and joins in the national effort to help America's small businesses do what they do best, grow their business, create jobs, and ensure that our local communities remain tomorrow as they are today. Therefore, I, Deborah Wempe, Mayor of the City of Broken Arrow, do hereby proclaim May 1 through 7th, 2022 as National Small Business Week.
Thank you for not making me read that.
That might have been one of the longest ones. All right, item 7C, approval of and authorization to execute proclamation declaring May 21st, 2022 as Kids to Parks Day in the City of Broken Arrow.
Do we need to
Oh,
approve the
yes.
last one, Mayor?
Yes, we do, so sorry. One
I'd
moment.
make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Sorry about that. Approved. Okay. Now, Matt Hendren.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Matt Hendren, Parks and Recreation Director. On Saturday, May 21st, the National Park Trust has designated that day as Kids to Park Day. So it's a great opportunity for us to draw attention to our awesome park system. And so that's really why I wanted to have this proclamation and take this time. We are going to have 2 activities associated with Kids to Parks Day. We're going to have some outdoor activities at Nienhuis Park from 11 to 1 over by the playground. And we're also going to have a scavenger hunt at Ray Harrell Nature Park from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. So I just want to encourage everyone to come out to either Nienhuis, Ray Harrell, or pick one of your favorite parks in Broken Arrow and just spend the day in the park May 21st.
All right. Well, I know I've heard, from time to time, people, like when we were going through our bond process, talking about, people would talk about wanting different parks or trails, or I think there was just a lack of education of what all we have as a city. And we have amazing parks and we have amazing trails, and we're still creating more of that to add to the quality of life here. So This is great, just to bring more awareness to what we have.
Absolutely.
So I'll read the proclamation. National Kids to Parks Day, Saturday, May 21st, 2022. Whereas May 21st, 2022 is the 12th Kids to Park Day organized and launched by the National Park Trust, held annually on the 3rd Saturday of May. And whereas Kids to Park Day empowers kids and encourages families to get outdoors and visit local parks, public lands, and waters. And whereas we should encourage children to lead a more active lifestyle to combat the issues of childhood obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and what is that word? Sorry.
I wasn't.
Cholesterolemia.
Yeah, I do not.
Is
know
that close?
word.
Is that close?
I think maybe next year I should pick a different word.
Yeah.
I think you do this all.
I did. What?
She made him.
Let's
Would you like to say
Would
it?
you like to say
Let's
that
pretend
word?
like it's hypercholesterolemia.
I like that. Okay,
Perfect.
thank you, Scott.
Is that what it was?
Close to me. Okay, whereas Kids to Parks Day will broaden children's appreciation for nature and the outdoors, and whereas Kids to Parks Day will recognize the importance of recreating responsibly. You are welcome. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion to approve that without pronouncing that word.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Yeah, and the one on at Ray Harrell on that hunt.
Yes.
That sounds super fun.
Yes. Okay. Item 7D, approval of an authorization to execute a proclamation declaring the week of May 15th through the 21st, 2022 as National Public Works Week. Rocky Hinkle.
Good evening again, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of council. Rocky Hinkle, Director of Streets and Stormwater. Before you tonight is a proclamation recognizing the week of May 15th to May 21st as National Public Works Week. There are over 19,000 municipalities with thousands of men and women who serve as public servants to their communities. This week is celebrated annually, and the theme for this year is Ready and Resilient. Within every public works professional lies a superhero. Public works professionals are always ready to serve their communities and resilient as ever in their abilities to pick themselves up off the ground after encountering challenges. The Ready and Resilient theme highlights the ability of these professionals to perform regular public works duties and be ready at a moment's notice to react as first responders during natural disasters and overcome trials as seen in the field. And with that, I'll turn it over to the whereases for you.
Thank you. Okay. Proclamation for Public Works Week. Whereas public works services provided in the city of Broken Arrow are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and where an informed citizenry is vital to the efficient public buildings, snow removal, park maintenance, and whereas the health, safety, comfort, and quality of life of Broken Arrow citizens greatly depend on these facilities and services, and whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and hereby proclaim the week of May 15th through May 21st, 2022 as National Public Works Week with the theme Ready and Resilient, and call upon all citizens and civic organizations to recognize the contributions the public works staff and officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. You guys.
Yes.
So,
The potholes
Make sure you
and,
got clean water to drink. Yep.
yeah, you can't understate the importance of this. It probably really should be a month rather than
Yeah.
a week. But
I'm a little biased. I would agree with you.
I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation.
second. We have a motion and a second. Approved. All right. Item 7E, presentation regarding update on the city street maintenance program funded through street sales tax. Rocky.
Good evening again. Last time here. A couple months left remaining in this fiscal year. I wanted to give you an update on the street maintenance program utilizing the street sales tax fund. Just a reminder for you and those watching at home, the street sales tax fund is a special revenue fund created for the purpose of improving construction sidewalks and related stormwater improvements, including the acquisition of machinery, equipment, and materials, and including the installation of traffic control devices and signalization. The funding for this fund came from 0.25% tax that was effective January 1st, 2017, and approved by the voters. On average, this fund generates anywhere from $3.5 to $4 million annually. So back in 2016, I don't know if Mr. Aaron's still here or not, but he was instrumental in having a consultant. The city hired a consultant to drive our network with them to analyze the roads, and they use a van with a 3D imaging to pick up all kinds of deterioration, which is kind of the tool and the model we use to select projects for the street maintenance program. Here are the PCI, or the pavement condition index ranges, anywhere from 0 to 100. Right now, the city of Broken Arrow sits at 70, so we're right there on the border of 5 to 75. Anything below 25 requires reconstruction. We would turn that project over to engineering construction. Anything over 75 is what we call preventative maintenance, so financial work needed. Here's just a graph showing the importance of street maintenance. We want to make sure that we start spending our dollars there at the top of the graph. If we wait till the bottom of the graph, then we're falling into that engineering and construction for reconstruction projects. And right now, the estimated cost for 1 lane mile to reconstruct is approximately $1.4 million. So you can see the importance on why we want to make sure that we spend that money early and maintain our roads. We have over 1,200 lane miles of roads that we have to maintain. So the roads that we pick are very vital in the strategic method that we use to select those roads. So first, I want to touch on some of the carryover projects from fiscal year 2021. We had a Carriage Crossing concrete panel replacement project. That project is complete. Cedar Springs Estates project is complete. That was concrete panel repair. I'll touch on that one a little bit later. South Park Estates concrete panel, Mifter Bridge concrete panel, Turtle Creek concrete panel. Those projects are complete. Oak Creek concrete panel, that project is in design, or the design is complete. Indian Springs Park second concrete panel repair is complete. North Pecan Place resurfacing is complete. Sentinel Industrial Park concrete panels are complete. Olive and rehabilitation is in design, and the LED street name signs are 85% complete. This project we got 4 intersections left on Lynn Lane to complete, so that'll be done by Tuesday of next week. There's South Park, Midford Bridge, Turtle Creek, In Springs, Sentinel Industrial Park, North Pecan Place, and LED tree name signs. So right now I want to touch on the concrete panel replacement projects for fiscal year 20 steeplechase progress. And the other identified project, concrete panel repair project, was 6100 Center, and that project is complete. And there's some of the finished work. I'll touch on the resurfacing projects. Timberbrook 4, this was just a mill and overlay project. It is complete. East Houston Street is complete, mill and overlay. Tucson from Elm to County Line is complete, just mill and overlay. South Olive Avenue from Florence to Tucson is complete. That was also just mill and overlay. Steeplechase, there was some curb and gutter and some ADA ramps here, and mill and overlay. That project is complete. Construction is Vandiver East. This is concrete curbs and gutters, some driveways and ADA ramps. The contractor will be done with all the concrete work by the end of next week. And on May 16th, our milling contractor is scheduled to mobilize to start resurfacing this work, or do the resurfacing work. So this project will be complete before this fiscal. East Houston, East Washington, East Tucson, South Olive Avenue, Steeplechase. Now I want to touch on some street signal projects. All these projects are complete except for the ones that say 90% complete. The reason that they are 90% complete, council awarded the purchase of the traffic control cabinets on February 15th. Due to the global supply chain issues, we will not receive them until sometime in August. So unfortunately, these projects will get carried over to next fiscal year. They'll be completed. But we replaced the cabinet at Main and Broadway, installed talking pedestrian heads at Elm and Queens. Replaced the cabinet flashing yellow arrows on Main and Houston. Replaced the video detection at Highway 51 on the north side. Replaced the video detection at Kenosha and Rema on the east side of Rema. Replaced the cabinet video detection flashing yellow arrows at Main and the same at 9th and Juneau, and the same at New Orleans and the Creek Turnpike, as well as County Line and the Creek Turnpike. Some of the miscellaneous items street by the end of this fiscal year as well. And this is where we invested in the new paint striping machine, and we vowed to restripe every arterial street once a year, so we're on pace to complete that for the year as well. Crack sealing was a preventative maintenance measure, annual street maintenance. It's various locations. These are mainly base repair issues, sidewalk maintenance. Those are various locations, and then a high-density mineral bond is a preventative maintenance product that we're looking to use, and that is currently in progress. Here's just a project map overview where all those projects were located that I mentioned for this fiscal year. Related, but I want to touch on their 2018 projects. As I mentioned, Cedar Springs Estates was identified originally as a street sales tax project, but that project, the scope of that project grew from the $250,000 it was originally slated to $1.1 million. So here's it is complete. And then current neighborhood, this is a $1.8 million project, 5% complete, and pending weather should be completed by the end of May. So with that, I just want to give you a couple other facts. In 4 years, the city has invested about $11.5 million just in roadway projects alone. That encompasses about 50 neighborhoods as well. So I guess I apologize for all the inconvenience, but not the progress. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Your whole presentation was very impressive, and you can definitely tell that our streets are a lot better quality than they were just a few years ago. But I really love the way that the lighted street signs are. Sometimes people they don't really realize that they're lighted. You know, they'll think it's just from the city, the city lights or whatever, but very impressive. I like those. Look really good.
So one of the things we'll propose in this upcoming fiscal year is to do the remaining intersections with the LED street name signs, as well as hiring a consultant to reanalyze our network system to see where we are. We have the combination of the street sales tax and the bond money for the residential rehab. The combination of those two and actually getting the work done should elevate our score from 70 somewhere higher than that. So kind of anxious to see where we land.
Rocky, you want to touch on the pavement condition index we're going to request next year?
That's what I was just mentioning. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be a part of the proposed budget for next year.
Updating the PCI, having the mapping again.
Yeah, we'll hire that consultant again to reanalyze our streets and see if we end up scoring higher than that 70 we're at now. And that's where I anticipate with the two funding sources that should not be a problem.
We could just drive the Tesla, right?
Maybe.
You can see the street underneath.
That's also in the budget.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jenny. All right.
Do we need a motion to accept it?
No.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Item 8 is citizens' opportunity to address the council on general topics. Is Jason Doss in the audience? Nope. Okay. All right, moving to general business. And item 9A, consideration, discussion, and possible appointment of 2 trustees on the Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group Board and approval of and authorization for the mayor to execute the official ballot casting votes for the 2 trustee appointments with 3-year terms commencing July 1, 2022. Mr. Spurgeon.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Good evening. This item relates specifically to the Municipal Oklahoma Assurance Group, which is a provider of general liability, auto, workers' compensation, property, and risk management services for Oklahoma cities and towns, and they've been in existence since 1977. It is governed by a 7-member board nominated and elected by its members. The city has been a member of OMAG since 1982. The term of 2 trustees expire on June 30th, 2022. 6 individuals are nominated to fill the 2 vacancies. After reviewing the biological summary, staff recommends the ballot be cast for Vicki Patterson, City Manager, City of Broken Bow, and Justin Battles, Assistant City Manager of the City of Mustang. I know both of these individuals and recommend them to you.
Any discussion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Roll call. Item 9B, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of BACP 180 comprehensive plan change 51 East at Battle Creek, 23 acres. Larry Curtis.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. BACP 180 is a request to change the comprehensive plan designation from level 2, 4, and 6 to level 3 and 4 on approximately 23 acres generally located south and east of the southwest corner of Omaha Street and Aspen Avenue. The property is presently unplatted and undeveloped. Applicant is interested in developing the property for commercial and multifamily use. Pending approval of the amendment of the comprehensive plan, the applicant intends to submit a rezoning request to change the zoning to CG, Commercial General, and RM, Residential Multifamily, along with a major amendment to the existing PUD. Consequently, in conjunction with the request for the change in the comprehensive plan, applicant has prepared a draft PUD amendment for informational purposes only. No action on this request on this PUD is at this meeting at this time. BACP 180 was reviewed by Planning Commission on April 14th on this item, and 3 individuals signed up to speak, but were not in the audience. Concerns expressed include traffic congestion, lack of emergency access, apartment use, reduced views, reduced property values, overcrowding in schools, and apartment aesthetics. After reviewing the information presented in the staff report and the information provided by the applicant and surrounding property owners, the Planning Commission recommended approval, a vote of 5-0, of BACP 180 per staff recommendation. I'm here to answer any questions you may have, and I believe the applicant's representative is here to answer.
Is there any discussion or any
Would you
questions?
kind of briefly just kind of talk about the levels 2, 4, and 6, and then go on to 3 and 4,
Mhm.
just overall?
Yeah. We're in the comp plan. There you go. Scroll down. Yep. So that's what currently is. So there's level, that little bit up at the end of the golf course. And level 6, which, level 4 is the red, and level 6 is the purplish color there. And so the applicant is proposing to make to change that. See if you can go back up. Yeah, there should be another. Yeah, should have been broken up. Anyways, the applicant is proposing to change a portion of that into level 3, which would allow for multifamily housing, and the remainder of that, which abuts the arterial street of both Aspen and Omaha, into level 4, which would be for commercial purposes.
So there was no level 3 to start with.
Correct. There is no level 3 to start with. And as we typically see within our Lewis level systems, though, is that at the hard corner is going to be that level 4, Then we transitioned to the level 3 and then to with that. The level 6 that was there because it was updating the comprehensive plan and reflecting back to the 99 plan. Level 6 was there because it was a large acre tract of land. There was no one who came before us. There was no changes that were proposed or anything along those lines. The property owner did not provide any thoughts to any updates to the comp plan back in 2019. So staff large tract of land. The original use, I will say, of Battle Creek Church was an indoor mall. And so that led to that level 6 type use. And then, of course, when that transitioned over to Battle Creek, while the level 6 remains because it is closer to the highway, we left it there for that purpose. Battle Creek may grow beyond that space, and so therefore vacate that space and use it for commercial purposes in the future. That's why we left it as level 6 of the comp plan.
Well, the reason I ask the questions is just to always encourage citizens to go by the comprehensive plan. Look at the comprehensive plan, then they pretty well know what's going on or being built around them.
Mhm.
So if there's any big changes, it really causes a red flag to go up for me for a change in the comp plan.
Yeah, and again, as always, the way we have in Broken Arrow has always been that anyone who wants to do something that's in contrast to the comp plan, we always require them to make a change to the comp plan. Many other communities, I won't name any that are next door to us, do not always go by that way. And they say the comp plan is a guiding document. And for us, it is a guiding document, but it's a document that we have always adhered to.
Well, and the issue I have,
I know.
the comp plan is there for a reason
Mm-hmm.
because people rely upon it.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a lot of opposition to this. And normally if people oppose a modification of the comp plan, I want to understand why modifying the comp plan to this is better than what it is.
And from staff standpoint, the higher density that would come from this with the multifamily would help with the creation of the commercial portion of it. As we can see, commercial has been limited at that corner with Walgreens and with the Sonic that has gone in there, but the remainder of the tracks have not grown and developed. And so the development along that corridor does rely on rooftops is associated with that. But I would say that from the staff standpoint, I will let the applicant speak more towards their case on the reasoning for their request.
But people who bought this, if they were relying on the comprehensive plan, were not expecting apartments to be built there.
I agree with that. But the same flip side of that is that there could be large box retail there or commercial development associated with that. So there is a
So
give and
pick your
take.
poison to the people who live there.
Exactly.
Well, it's one of the reasons that we exchanged several years ago that zoning, I think it was from Street, that we
Mhm.
went south to the Broken Arrow Expressway
Mhm.
with the multifamily
Mhm.
because of the traffic situation, trying to remedy that.
Yes, and the good thing now, in regards to traffic, is that Aspen has been widened to 5-lane, which has helped accommodate a lot of the traffic associated with that area. And I know the county is moving forward with the redesign and the widening of Omaha as well. So
Are they widening? I know they're widening between Aspen and Elm, but what about between Elm or between Aspen and Olive
on the Tulsa side,
on the Tulsa side?
I'm aware of no plans for widening from Aspen back west to Olive. And I do believe that except for the purple and the brown up there in your picture, that is city limits of Broken Arrow. The rest of it, my understanding, is city limits of Tulsa.
correct?
And I do believe Tulsa probably maintains it up to
Yeah,
that
I
point.
think, it is Tulsa, but I
Yes.
just didn't know if they had any plan. Of course, I asked a bunch of questions about the setbacks and the frontage and those all made sense because of the church parking lot.
Mhm.
And I drove it and the church parking lot is next to where the proposed development would be.
Mhm.
And then one of the concerns I had was the commercial backing right up to those 3 houses.
Mhm.
But I guess that's going to be an open area.
Mhm.
So, and then the rest of it is the golf course,
Mhm.
correct?
Correct.
So, one concern I did have, and I drove it today at about 4 o'clock, is coming from Aspen, or I'm sorry, coming from Olive, heading west or heading east on 51st on Omaha. The traffic was backed up, and this was at 4 o'clock.
Mhm.
The traffic was backed up really. I was surprised at how much the traffic was.
Mhm.
I sat through 3 stoplights to get
Mhm.
through there. A right-hand turn lane would be, I mean, even if we can't widen the whole thing, a
Mhm.
right-hand turn lane would be very beneficial.
And
I didn't turn right on Aspen. I just kept going down Omaha. And once you got past Aspen, it ended.
Mhm.
Like everyone was turning south on Aspen. It's from there, which I thought, was interesting. So that is a concern, is the traffic, and just increasing that.
one thing I will say is that, this will definitely be peaking if the applicant does move forward with their rezoning and their PUD request. That will definitely be coming back before you. And at that time, I know that this will be meeting the requirements of doing a traffic impact analysis. And there could potentially be a need more so on Omaha than Aspen at this time for a turn lane into the development to be able to accommodate that.
So the people who spoke in opposition to amending the comprehensive plan, was the modified use something that they raised concerns about?
Yes.
See, I'm just have issue with modifying the comprehensive plan when they're there first and they relied on the plan. So I'm just,
Understood.
And I believe one of the residents actually said they'd be okay with commercial there instead of apartments.
well, and that's what they bought into.
Right.
And that's when no one objects to the comprehensive plan change, it's more acceptable because no one objects. But
Mhm.
when people bought property relying on that, I need to understand why this is better.
Understood.
So far, I'm not hearing why this is better. It's different. I don't know why it's better,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So if the applicant would like to speak, it might help.
Absolutely.
Good evening, councilors. Nathan Cross, representing the applicant. Infill development. I've been before this body before on other parcels that are part of the Battle Creek PUD. Battle Creek is, for those who remember, was a master plan, full-on master planned development. It included multiple types of housing, commercial, obviously the golf course. Over time, it was created in 1995. Over time, development patterns haven't necessarily followed what was envisioned in 1995 when it was put into place. At this location, obviously, it hasn't developed. It's been there vacant since time immemorial, I guess. We don't know the history of the parcel, other than the perception is that it was intended, the parcel being the large chunk of level 6. That the presumption is it was intended for large box retail with a large parking, kind of similar to what the church next door looks like, with a large parking field set back quite a ways from the road. I don't know that current market trends support that. And so the current comprehensive plan designation, it depends on who you ask, I suppose, but it is more intensive than what we are proposing. And it could, in a certain scenario, allow for something like mini storage. Don't know that would be any more or less palatable to the people who object, but it's not getting developed in its current state.
The difference is if it's mini storage, those who pay attention to the comprehensive plan could expect that.
Sure,
If it's
theoretically,
apartments-
sure.
If it's apartments, they didn't expect that.
Sure. What we're presenting is an opportunity to redevelop or develop land that to date hasn't been developed, including increasing the commercial footprint around the hard corner and providing a more traditional transition zone. I mean, I'll say it. I think we all know it. Apartments are unpopular. I don't know that this body's seen, I can't say, I haven't been here for every hearing you've had on apartments, but they're not popular.
Well, but if it had been, if I bought property
Sure.
expecting that could be an apartment.
Sure.
then, but
Larry, can I ask a question real quick? What is to the west
Yeah.
or the east of the church right now?
I do want to, and I was noticing that as earlier, that there is, the PELF does not have any level 3, but it does abut level 3. And so,
Those are
yeah,
apartments.
next to the golf course right now, what you see there is the orangish yellow. That is level 3, and that can be multifamily use there. So this is really, and my understanding is the applicant is purchasing that property as well.
Has purchased it, yeah.
Yeah, and so this would be the expand, continue.
Right
Yeah.
now,
He's talking
He's talking about to the east.
to the east.
that is,
apartments over here.
Yeah.
There is some apartments over here.
We do not own
I
that.
thought that's
My
what
client does not own that.
Right
But,
behind Battle Creek Church or.
and that, it bears some discussion relative. If you look at the aerial, unlike maybe other apartment complexes that you have reviewed, this backs up to an apartment complex. Undoubtedly, are there people here who do not like the aesthetic? It is not as if we are building an apartment of people who believe that they weren't moving in next door to an apartment complex. And it's less than
what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you're downzoning it?
well, and maybe staff can speak to this, but the amount of uses, the types of uses that are allowed in the level 6 area and the level 4 area, my opinion, are considered more intensive and impactful to the surrounding area. Level 3 is a transitional zone. Its stated purpose in the comprehensive plan is to provide a barrier between strictly residential and strictly non-residential.
Any other questions?
So you have anybody signed up to speak
We
tonight?
do not have anyone.
So the apartments are going to be abutting the other apartments, is that correct?
They'll back up and then they will come along. If you pull up the proposed new comprehensive plan, the proposed amendment we're talking about now, it is,
I think it's on the case map.
it might be,
Exhibits, it's in the exhibit.
this is it. So this is the existing heights at Battle Creek that wraps around through here. This originally here was a home-ish type office use, possibly, or townhome. Staff encouraged us to continue commercial this direction to preserve, frankly, I presume, the sales tax benefit to this hard corner. At the Planning Commission, we had some neighbors here concerns about being immediately adjacent to apartments. We talked about that this is not apartments, one, it's commercial, and two, regardless of how we design this, and you've seen in the PUD, although that's not what we're here to talk about today, this is a detention area, so there's an additional buffer between the commercial and the back fence of those houses that we're next door to.
But the apartments will run all based on the change in level from level 6 to level 3 and from level 4 to level 3.
Yes.
The apartments would run all the way around
They would run on, what side is this?
on the north, they'd be on the south.
This
and
is the south
west
and this
side
is the west, right?
of the, which
But it's going to butt the apartments to
It abuts,
east.
I mean, the aerial will show you there are apartments
Right.
all back here. that
right,
abut the
I saw
dog
that. I'm just really,
Level 6 allows for light industrial with a PUD, allows for heavy commercial without a PUD. So anything in those types of zoning districts, and this, excuse me, CH does allow for a multitude of uses associated with that. As the applicant's representative stated, yes, IL does allow for actually CH allows for 20% to be used for mini storage. IL allows for all of it to be used for mini storage, but IL would allow for like industrial of any kind to go into that area. And so, basically most of our industrial that we have in the city of Broken Arrow, aside from that is on the far west or east side of the city, is all light industrial. So
Yeah, it just feels like we're changing the rules of the game for the people who bought in earlier, and I'm just uncomfortable with that. You don't have to agree with me. I'm just uncomfortable with that.
And the reason why staff staff did encourage the wraparound of the commercial, just because we were removing a portion of potential sales tax producing land, and then wanting to ensure that we recapture some of that associated with it.
If we change a comprehensive plan, will there have to be a PUD? In other words,
Yes.
will a multifamily couldn't go in
Yes.
there, it'd have to be
Yes.
underneath the PUD.
Yes,
Is that correct?
staff is requiring, as a part of this PUD, as a part of this comprehensive plan change, is that a rezoning request along with the PUD would have to come back before council.
I understand, and I really saw this as being, I just don't like a major change in the comp plan, especially in an area that's already been developed. But I certainly, if I live there, I would rather have a PUD type apartments, which means that we're going to be overseeing some of the design of the apartments, how many apartments there are, the location of the apartments.
And
I'd rather have that than I would some of the things that's going in could go into level 6.
yeah, and that's the reason why staff typically require, it's kind of a, chicken before the egg kind of thing. Whenever you guys see a PUD, then you start thinking that we're going to be approving a PUD, but we're not. We want to make sure that the public has the opportunity to see what the concept is of going there. So that way, if it were to move forward, they could provide as much input as possible for us to be able to update that PUD process.
This actually makes, I can't believe I'm defending an apartment complex, but it actually makes sense to me. Because it butts up to another apartment complex, and it kind of goes along with that, where the walkability, someone could live there and walk to commercial stuff and to get their prescriptions and to church. And the main issue I have is the traffic, that I hope that we can address that, because it's frustrating right there.
I would think most of the traffic coming out of here, though, is going to be going to the south and come from the south.
The proposal does not connect
Yeah.
through to Omaha. It goes through to Aspen. Obviously, that is not what we're talking about today. And so
Right.
but the other part of this that was discussed at the Planning Commission is that new development in a lot of ways, is how streets can be widened easier. As part of the platting process, municipalities have the power to require us to install turn lanes and things like that in order to get the plat approved because of traffic studies, as Mr. Curtis referenced. And that is the alternative to the city coming through and condemning and paying for the land, which is a much longer process. So
you said there will not be an entrance onto Omaha from the.
I have not seen that in the
That's what
current
that shows
proposal.
one, but it kind of shows it.
Does it really?
Well, I can't tell if that's from the apartments or from.
I think it's from the commercial area.
Right, the commercial goes to the north.
The commercial comes out, but in terms of the
Kinda looks
apartment
like it
use,
does.
which is the concern that
But I know it's a
we
draft.
heard the
so-
most about, it comes out onto Aspen, which is 5 lane.
Okay.
And I'll add regarding the discussion about the comp plan amendment, you all know your comp plan better than I do. Living, breathing document. It is not.
A living, breathing document. It's on
Okay.
paper, it's dead.
Okay.
So we changed it.
Well, it provides for amendment and review every year and every 5 years and every 10 years. And through that process, it allows for unilateral amendment by the city at times. And so relying on that, it is a thing. I'm not suggesting that people don't do that, but there is an inherent change and flexibility in it that's written into the document.
And I voted for comprehensive plan changes on several occasions. I've discussed it each time because to me, it's a big deal.
You and I have had this discussion
Yes.
before. Yes.
And when people don't object and it makes sense, I support it. When people object, I have to look at why.
Sure. Understood.
And that's because I don't want to change the rules of the game on someone midway. Even though it may be better for them if they're objecting, I want to understand why.
Sure.
And that's where my concern is.
Sure. Understood.
Well, we don't have anybody here. There's nobody here objecting tonight. How many people spoke at the planning commission?
Seven people spoke at the meeting.
Okay, and if I heard him right, then if that apartment zoning, that level 3 apartments goes in there, they will come back to Aspen. They won't go north to exit through that commercial.
I don't want to say yes, because again, that'll be a part of the PUD process.
I realize that.
And as a part of their draft, yes, that is correct. The commercial connection will connect to the Omaha side, but yes.
Well, I still say if I live there, I'd rather have a nice apartments than I would in a storage buildings or something that goes in level 6.
Grow facility.
Huh?
Yeah,
What?
exactly.
I said, or a grow facility.
Growing
Yeah.
facility. I'll say
Processing.
that loud.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'll make a motion to approve
Hey, wait a
item B.
second.
Item whatever B, 9B.
Okay.
So we have a motion to approve. And we have a second.
Excuse me, may I make a comment?
Oh.
The homeowners in Battle Creek did not know that we could speak to your group tonight. We were at the previous one on April the 14th, and we were not told that we could make some comments.
I mean, I would assume at the planning commission, it's always,
As we always
they-
state at the
they
planning
do
commission
say.
meeting that if you'd like to speak to this item, please sign up to speak prior to the item.
yes. And I don't know about anyone else, but I didn't receive any emails or calls or on the item.
That's why I was questioning, there's no one speaking on this tonight.
We didn't know that we could have the opportunity to do that. We were not informed by the homeowners association or anyone to do that.
I believe the staff said at that meeting, usually at the planning commission meeting, they do announce that if you're going to speak to the city council, you have to sign up before the council meeting.
And they
Sure,
say
They did
when
say that.
the meeting is.
I was
They
at
did say
that
that.
meeting. I did not hear that. I was not, I sat right there. I did not hear that. I would have, or the others would have also.
I'd be happy to confirm that,
Okay.
but that is our forte after every single item. Chairman of the planning commission is very diligent to ensure that after every item, at what date and how to speak to that item.
The vote was unanimous, isn't that correct?
That is correct.
May I make a comment as a homeowner? And
You can send us an email, but you have to sign up before the meeting to speak on an item.
but you're gonna vote on this tonight, then
No.
the email's gonna be too late.
This is just for comprehensive plan change.
Pardon?
This is just for the comprehensive plan change. You still have a chance
Oh, yeah,
to come and speak about the PUD.
and the proposed project.
When will be the next meeting concerning this?
I'll address that. Presuming we were to get through tonight, we would, in short order, be following with the application for rezoning and PUD. And to answer your question, roughly a month, possibly. everyone that got notice of this action will get notice of that action.
I didn't get notice of this action. Someone in the neighborhood told me about this date.
I'll be happy to give you a business card. Happy to contact, you can feel free to contact me. I'll give anybody here who wants one a business card to contact me. We sent out a letter when we sent this request out to everyone that would get notice of this with my contact information on it. Feel free to call me about it. The answer to the question about process is that this is step one. The stuff that you've seen that is titled draft PUD is a whole separate discussion that relates to the rezoning to use it as an apartment and design of the apartment and the look, as well as the look and design of the commercial. Please speak to council. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The look and the design of the commercial. That will all, the particulars of the plan, including ingress and egress, will have its separate day.
So that's just, again, just step one of the entire process. But we do have a motion. Do we have a second? Yeah.
And Larry, they were notified in how many feet?
300?
Yes, so this notification process, because it was a comprehensive plan change, the notification was 300 feet from around the, as they move forward with their application for a multifamily, that will be a notification of 1/4 mile.
Okay.
So there will be a larger group that will be notified as a part of that.
Okay. It's not showing. Oh,
There
okay.
was a motion.
There was a motion.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
it
did
shows
have a
it up
motion
there.
second.
Yes.
Okay, but
We
It's
can't
not
vote.
doing a roll call.
it's not going to work. Okay,
There we
thank
go.
you.
Try it now. Sorry.
Okay. And we will, Larry, you'll make sure.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
You might make them.
Oh.
You might make them.
Oh, the
because they
motion, yeah.
didn't see it. The
So
motion.
that motion passed 3-2. Okay. Item 9C, I was like, where are we? Item 9C, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of BAZ 2107 rezoning PUD-88C. Larry.
Yes, the applicant is requesting a major amendment to PUD 88A to add additional property to the PUD boundary. With BAZ 2107, Lot 1, Block 2 is requested to be rezoned from CG to CH. The zoning ordinance in place in 1994 did not permit funeral home services in the C2 zoning, now CG. Zoning must be up to date to allow for the expansion of the funeral home. Pending approval of the PUD and rezoning the request, the applicant intends to submit a consolidation application for lots 1 and 2. This will facilitate in the future expansion of the existing building and to add to the additional parking area. In their meeting held on April 14, 2022, the approval of 5-0 of PUD 88C and BAZ 21 per staff recommendation, 2 citizens spoke with questions in regards to drainage. And I believe those questions had been answered at that time. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. So this would be the expansion of Hayhurst Funeral Home.
And I know there were a couple of questions on the drainage, and they said they were going to talk to them after the meeting. So can you tell us what the questions were and what the answer was?
The concern was generally about the drainage flowing to the west and into the existing subdivision that's there. So they'll have to, as a part of their expansion, do a site plan analysis that will include the matter to ensure that it does not impact the surrounding neighborhoods.
Yeah, because I know right now from the planning commission, one of the gentlemen said that he gets a lot in his backyard, like it even comes in his house now, if I remember right. So it can't get any worse than that. Although it's bad now, but they can't make it any worse than that.
I make a motion to approve BAZ 2107 and PUD 88C, a major amendment to PUD 88A.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you, Larry. There are no preview ordinances or ordinances. Remarks by governing body members?
Well, I would say I was going to read this 12th Amendment, but if y'all have ever read it, it's like a book. So I'm not reading it, but what I will say is it is the amendment to make electors, basically electors will meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president. And it's very interesting. So, and it's very important as well. So, and changes have been made to it throughout the years, but read the 12th Amendment and take a little time because it's very long and I won't bore you with it.
I just want to thank our emergency management, Jamie Ott. And I had a team of people there last night during the storms, and I think they'll probably have another late night, maybe tomorrow or so. So
Yes.
thanks for
the
keeping
whole
us
month of
safe.
May.
Yeah.
The whole-
I'd like to say I really appreciated Rocky bringing his staff. They've been great this evening. And they add a lot to the council. You just look out and you kind of want to frown till you see them, and then you start smiling.
Yeah.
So thank you, Rocky. And
My business, so I brought them here to learn about other people's business. I start asking questions about PUDs or rezoning, then I know they're out of my world.
I like it. I was going to remind everyone that the Rooster Days rodeo, even though Rooster Days got moved, the rodeo is still taking place out at the Roundup Club. So that is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then we have a Cinco de Mayo event happening on Saturday. So.
On Siete de Mayo.
Yes, it's not on Cinco de Mayo, but we will celebrate it on Saturday. So
And then Thursday, the prayer.
National
Day of
Day of Prayer is at 9 a.m. at the large pavilion on Main Street. And we would love for everyone to join us for National Day of Prayer. Good stuff. Anyone else? City Manager?
Check, 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 check. Thank you very much. Just one thing, because we do have a lengthy agenda. Just want to thank the council for coming to the lunch meeting we had today with the National Council for the Muskogee Creek Nation. I think there's 16 total elected officials for the nation, and I counted at least 10.
Mm-hmm.
There might have been one other that attended, and all 5 of the elected officials in Broken Arrow were there. It was just a great discussion. It was a historic day for us to get together with them. And I just want to thank you for making the time, because a couple hours out of your day to have that is tough to get everybody together. So thank you very much for that, and hope it's the beginning of many meetings that we will meet with them, because we have so many things in common, plus the same citizens. So I appreciate the council's support. And that's all I have, Mayor.
I entertain a motion to take a brief recess.
I'd make a motion to take a brief recess to enter Beta and Bama.
Second.
A motion and second. Roll call.
Ford,
Here.
Beatty,
Yes.
Parks,
yes.
Gillespie,
Yes.
Wimpy.
Yes.
I meant yes, too.
Yes. Yes, here.
Jerry,
I'm
yes.
here. Yes.
Yes, Counselor Ford is here.
Call the Broken Arrow Municipal Authority meeting to order. Roll call.
Ford,
Here.
Beatty,
Here.
Parks,
Here.
Gillespie,
Here.
Wimpy.
Here. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Roll call. Item 5A, presentation, consideration, and waste and recycling monthly report. Jerry Schubert.
It is good to see you. I'm reminded to call you that, so thank you very much. This is going to be real quick. We are going to be giving you a monthly update from this point forward that'll look something like water that they've already given you. The first month, I wanted to give you kind of a heads up of what you're going to be seeing so that you'll be able to just recognize it when it comes in as a consent item going forward. The APWA models for critical success factors and key performance indicators from the APA report, CSF's, but essentially what we're looking at is key factors and what we are measuring, because you can't get better if you don't measure what you're doing. So the following is kind of some of what we will be measuring going forward. And all of this was in the attached document to this report, if you would. So one of the things that we're watching constantly is our tonnage. Now, if you look, we're trying to increase diversion rates so that we're removing more waste from the landfill and putting it into our recycling programs. So one of the KPIs that we created is to increase our diversion tonnage to 25%. Small start, but with the recycling, our be something that's achievable. And you'll notice that our 15 tons of recycling alone This month, we've already put another 20 tons on that. So these numbers don't reflect it's over, but we're starting to see waste as we see larger increases in recycling, which is what we expected. The next thing you'll see is what we're trying to track is we want to make sure that we're doing less than 50. And that sounds like a lot, but the reality is a lot of these calls that we receive for missed service to be people who didn't put them out. And thank God for camera, because we typically will say we have a picture, it's not out. Would you like us to come back? It gives us an opportunity to service the customer. That's the key. That's why we're there. In every once in a blue moon, we'll get someone who says, it was out, you guys are wrong. Well, we have a picture. Would you like us to send it? And then maybe we'll get a click because they just hang up because they know they've been caught.
Well, I sure did not know that you had cameras on the trash truck. So that's good to know when people do call us and tell us that we missed the
Yes.
trash.
Yes.
Yeah. And we actually will send them a copy of the picture so they can see it. We'll describe their house.
It's very
And-
stalkerish. But
Yeah. And they're really good about saying, hey, I wasn't out.
It's a little
We-
big
we try
brother,
to help.
but okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a service
Taking
issue. So
pictures
that's
of the
for us.
Yeah.
The other thing that we're looking at is total stops serviced per month. We try to keep that KPI 300 plus to include recycling. We are in the recycling area hitting 328. So we're doing really well. Our participation rate is about 85% with our customers right now, and about 65% of those are putting their containers out every day when we service. So next else, because we want to make sure that our poly carts are actually performing. And so what we're looking for is how many carts are we putting into the field? How many are we delivering back? And then also failure rates. So wheels, lids, axles, bars, all the items that go on the item itself. And we've also created a new program where we're returning, or not returning, but we're receiving credits and will receive parts for anything that's damaged because these are all under warranty. So we've now started working the warranty side of things, and we're really impressed with the fact that they're quick to respond to us.
How long is the warranty?
For Cascades, it's a 10-year warranty, and that's for body parts. Typically, it's relevant to what happened to the part. So if we squeeze it too hard with the new automateds, they pop, and so if you break it, you bought it, right? One of those situations. But if what's happened, we're able to give them pictures. They'll give us a new cart body, or they'll give us credit towards the next one. So
That first thing up there, is that like actual like deliveries to houses? Like we took them a new cart?
yes, trash cart deliveries for let's just say March was 130 where we had to deliver out a cart. With that, trash cart returns was 22. So we may have somebody say somebody moves into a property and they show up and there's two 96s. It's a different type of couple and they don't need two 96s. So they'll call, say, I have two carts. Can you come get one? That may be what we're looking at there. Or it may be damaged and we're just doing a return.
If someone moves in to a house
Mhm.
and, there's a trash cart and a recycle cart there,
Yes.
do we just transfer those numbers to the new?
The numbers stay with the
Address.
address.
Okay.
So that's a great question because a lot of people don't know. I've actually had them load them up in their truck and take them across town.
Yeah.
Please don't do that. The inventory is associated with the location ID, not the customer ID.
Okay.
So when they leave, they go somewhere else. If they had 15 carts, we then have to call the customer and say, hey, you have 15 carts. Did you really want that many? And they're going, no, absolutely not. Could you just two? That's all I need. So then we come and pick them up. And that may be representing this number as well.
Okay.
So the other thing you see is recycle cart deliveries. And one of the things I think I'm most proud of for our team is you see we've delivered 107 for that month, but we've only returned 23. So what we saw when we had the burn down is we had a lot of people who said, hey, get this thing out of my yard. I'm tired of it. We've got a lot of people going, hey, you're back up, you're running. We're very excited. We want that cart back out, or they're now participating where they weren't before.
Sure.
And for the other ones, it's either, I'm tired of it, or maybe I had two and I need one back. So, and then the parts. So the last slide just goes into what's already in your report. It will be a snapshot for the sake of brevity. You'll only see numbers going forward. You won't see all my text because I don't want to bore you.
But I will tell you this, I do in there. A true apples to apples isn't going to show up for the first probably 2 years as we start to develop the side loading equipment and the recycling program, because we don't have a year over year data on the recycling because of the burn down. So we're going to look like rock stars this first couple of months. And the reality is we are, but we're going to be able to prove it next year when we show you how much we've improved. And so we'll have real good data to go back and forth on. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. All right, there is no general authority business. Remarks from governing body members? City manager?
I have no, ma'am.
There's no executive session.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Call the broken.
Ford.
Here.
Moody.
Here.
Here. Are there any items to be removed?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. There are no presentations, general authority business, or, yes, that's it. Remarks and inquiries by governing body members? City manager?
No.
None? There's no executive session.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call. Make a motion to clear the
Make a
chamber.
motion to clear the room into executive session.
Second.
Motion and second.